Hello, my friend. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. Have you heard that experiment that there was a fly? I think they kept one glass near the window where it was a common place to move out of the room, and the fly kept hitting that glass, thinking that it can go out, but it didn't realize that right next to that small glass window there was another completely open window, and it could have been easy to just fly through that window, open window, but the fly kept hitting that glass. So what does it mean? What I mean by that is that the other options that we have, a lot of time we don't see it. And why I'm telling you this, by the way, my name is RJ, and thank you so much for joining this channel. If you haven't watched my first episode where I talked about how lost almost everything by acquiring a business for $4.5 million worth of business, and I explained what happened, but fortunately I was able to navigate through that situation. So, and the methodology I came up with, I realized that I did something right, and that's what I call BRINK to breakthrough. And that BRINK methodology, BRINK, is what I have been focusing on now, which is: B is to breathe, R is to review reality, which I already talked about in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, also I'll put a link. And in this video, we are going to talk about I, to identify options. Now, that's what that fly was trying to do. It was in a situation where it was trying to get out. We all are, at least I was in that situation at that time, which I'm talking about, where I was thinking about, how can I get out of this situation? And I kept hitting that wall. I was so much in a panic mode. I was so much in a worry mode, anxiety, lots of things going on. I could not think straight. That was my first problem. That review reality step, it before that, of course, you need to take deep breathe and calm down, stop spinning. That's what the analogy I have given. So I won't repeat in case you have already watched it. But so you need to calm down, you need to review the reality, and next step is BRI is to identify option. Now, typically what happens again is that when we are in a panic mode, our frontal lobe, it was told that, hey, there is a danger, right? We are in a survival mode. And survival mode, the first step is, don't argue, don't tell me the analytics part, like, oh, we can do, no, 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 we need to run. That's how our mind works, or that's how it is controlling our body. So what happens? You stop thinking and you start running. You need to get away from the dangerous situation. Now, that was good, and it was applicable when we were living in those days where there could be a saber-toothed tiger could be behind you, and you don't want to think and check with whether he's a big tiger, small tiger, what is it. You hear the grumble, run. That is it. So that's what that the survival mode is for. But unfortunately, that mode gets triggered even in the situation where actually there is no tiger there, right? That's what the problem is. So, and I was the living example of that. I thought, that's it, I'm done, there is no option left. I will be in a, the darkest period of my life. All kinds of things come to my mind. What I had to do was, and then I did was, I took a step back. I said, okay, do I have any options left? I tried to analyze, understand what can be done. So I found a lawyer. I started talking him, explaining him. He said, oh, maybe we can talk to the bank. We can explain the situation, and we talk to the customers and find out the options, what can be possible. I was thinking that, oh, how will I be able to handle this $1 million, worth of these kind of obligations and this and that. So no, there is a way. So that options, I was able to at least see some options that gave me courage to take a step in that direction. So my point is, once you identify the options, just try to understand whatever your situation could be. Try to understand, is there any possibility of doing anything? Maybe it could be a small step, maybe something. it shouldn't be a giant leap, to you cannot get out of your debt, you cannot get out of your complete situation, but can you do something that is possible, that will take you at least one step closer to in that direction, to your desired situation. That's all I did. So I started doing this, I started doing that. I started writing to somebody, I started calling to somebody, explaining this, and slowly and steadily I saw that there are some possibilities. So the point is, there are ways. You identify the options, there are some options that you will find that will take you to the next step, which will be, you will realize that that wall that look like it is all wall, well, there are some doors and windows also. It just, we don't identify them immediately. So my message today is very simple: you try to identify, you try to understand what can be possible. Reach out to others, reach out to your friends, family, colleagues, your accountant, cpas, depending on your situation. Of course, I'm talking about financial, it could be your health issue. You talk to your doctors, talk to your talk to the options. Maybe I also will talk someday about natural options, natural therapy, or natural medicines, that kind of thing. I'll try to learn and experiment on those also, so we'll talk about that. But the point is, there could be some options available, why not to try it out, right? So that's where the identify options will come. And that, once we identify, what happens is, it gives us some clarity, some courage, and then it will give you some fuel to take one step. When you take one step, now it will be even much more clear, because when we go in one direction, one step, now we see, oh, this is how it is here. Because I was in the other room, I cannot see what is there, so I need to take a step in that direction, that side. Then I say, oh, that is also possible here. Oh, I see this, oh, I see that. And take the next step, and take the next step. That's how I navigated. And fortunately, I was able to navigate and come to a point where at least I can say I avoided my worst day in my life. It could have been. So my message is simple: talk to somebody, understand the options. If and don't talk to yourself and try to find options. That was one mistake I did. I did make myself that I was trying to solve everything myself. I should have reached out to these external, experts, rather, I should say. And because they know, they have been through, they know how to handle this. The banker was cooperating because they have seen this situation, things like that. So my suggestion is simple: whatever is your situation, try to find out. And I do put my calendar link in the description. Reach out to me. And this is not for a sales call, again, I'm clarifying. Although, by the way, somebody did reach out to me asking, do I take kind of a consulting, or that kind of coaching type of assignment. And two things: one, my time is very limited, unfortunately. I mean, it is, I have some other obligations also. So that is one. But I want to make sure that I'm the right person and you are the right person also. So if there are some special cases, we will talk about it, because if that more often happens, I'll start thinking about it. But at this point, this call is not for that. Just let's talk, one-on-one talk, understand each other. What maybe I have gone through some experience that will help you, and that's all my option and suggestion is to reach out, because that's what I experienced. I missed to contact, understand possibilities, and I was under the worst situation. I don't want you to be considered that. And if either you may be not ready to take a step, and that is where also I can help, because I know that there are some good options. I could have just taken it, I just missed that. So don't hold back your dreams. If there are things that you want to do, there are possibilities that you can do with minimal risk. I bought this business without risking a dollar from my own pocket. It is just that I did not do the right thing in perspective. I That I could have also been able to avoid. So again, reach out to me, if not, if need be, and let's continue this discussion. In the next episode, we'll finish, we'll do one two more with N and K. It will be a small episode, and then we have lots of other things to also talk about, so we'll continue. Thank you so much again. If you have any comments, please feel free to, and please subscribe if you haven't, because this is how I want to be. it is like a fireside talk, right? You won't find fancy text flying around and images or anything. I don't even edit my videos. I mean, you get me as a raw me. I don't want to fluff it. It is my honest experience and opinion and suggestion that I'm trying to share here. That's all my motive. So thank you so much again, and see you next time.